The whole world is watching, waiting. Every media channel is hungry for information about the sphere. The sphere represents the greatest mystery ever encountered by the human race.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 science fiction film Deus, a film that is written and directed by Steve Stone, and it stars Claudia Black, Richard Blackwood, Phil Davis and Charlie McGuigan. Now the film obviously is set in the future. Earth is dying, the world is massively overpopulated, so on and so forth. We've seen and heard all that before in science fiction films. And then there is like this mysterious sphere that arrives. I think it's just orbiting Mars or something like that. So this crew is sent out into space to go and investigate. It takes them 8 months to get there. And once there, they discover that this sphere kind of interferes with your thought patterns and puts like this one word in your head, and it's Deus, and essentially presents itself as God, and then gives the crew and the people of Earth an ultimatum, so to speak. Right. Without giving spoilers away, that's all really I want to say on the film in that sense in regards to the plot. What are my thoughts on the film? Well, this is a British science fiction film. It's got a decent amount of production values to it, so the effects are effective. They look pretty good. The set design is decent, if a little bit dark. It all feels a bit bleak, but that's the theme of the film, really, so it's in keeping with that. It's well directed and it's got some recognisable faces here, so it's got a decent cast as well. So it's got some decent ingredients to give us a thoughtful science fiction film, and I think that is essentially what this film is going for. It's going for a thoughtful approach to science fiction, which sometimes can work, but at other times they can come across as plundering, slow, and not essentially enjoyable to watch. And unfortunately, this kind of does fall into that category. Yes, it's thought-provoking. Yes, it presents some interesting moral dilemmas and all this kind of stuff. But, by God, it's a bit of a chore to get there. And I just think the film completely dragged. I mean, it really did ruin the film, because, like I say, there was some good ideas here and some good moments. And like I say, the cast is all absolutely fine. I think some of the problems that we get here as well is, yes, it's well cast, this film, but the characters aren't particularly well written or fleshed out. The only one that really gets any kind of attention in regards to any kind of backstory, really, is the Claudia Black character, the main character. We learn that she lost everything, her family in a car crash and all this kind of stuff. And so she's kind of in a really bad place, in a dark place herself, really. And it all kind of ties into the ending, her story and everything like that, so that you do kind of get some kind of payoff and understand her character's arc. But everybody else, no, you don't really get that. They're just kind of fairly forgettable, if well performed characters, which is a bit of a shame. Initially as well, you don't really know what it's going for, what kind of theme the film is going for. Is it going for a thriller? Is it touching its toes into horror? At times it felt like it was borrowing little bits and pieces from films like Event Horizon, Sphere, and Arrival, the Denis Villeneuve film. It's kind of borrowing little elements from all those films and trying to put them into this, and it doesn't quite succeed in doing any of it effectively. It's certainly not a horror, definitely not a horror. Even though there's a moment in the film where one of the characters kind of loses it, and it gets a bit Event Horizon what he's kind of doing to himself. And then there's these religious connotations as well in the film. That take it for what it is when you watch the film. You know what I mean? It's not really heavy on that, but it does play around with religious themes. This film, and ultimately the reveal as to what this sphere is and what it means, it will be a little bit of a letdown. It certainly was to me, but it does raise a massively complex moral decision, if you like, because, like I say, the Earth is dying. It's massively overpopulated. I think they explained in the film something like 21 billion people on, like, I think it's something like 15% of land mass on the Earth left, or something like that. So, I mean, literally, there'd be people shoulder to shoulder in on a planet of Earth like that. So, something has to be done, and kind of this sphere appears to be the answer. So you've got like these moral decisions going on the space station, and consequently, because everybody on Earth is watching what's going on, it's almost like a reality show, because everybody can see what they're doing on the space station because they're so interested in what this sphere is. So, like I say, you've got this drama on the spaceship and these decisions and arguments going on, and then that translates back to Earth as well, because they're seeing what's happening and they're understanding, what is going on. So they've got their own kind of moral decisions to make. So ultimately, I don't think it's a massive failure, this film. Like I say, there are positives here, but I honestly, I did find the film dragged terribly, and it's not exciting, even though they do try and flower it up a little bit with a little bit of drama and a little bit of thriller here and there, but it just necessarily didn't hold my attention throughout, and I think it could have been so much better. So ultimately, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10. I don't think it's a massive misfire. I think there are elements here that science fiction fans will appreciate, but ultimately it will be quite forgettable as well at the same time. It was certainly not memorable. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.